Hi, this is Rich Walling. It's August 5th. I'm coming to you from the Zaatari Refugee Camp located in northern Jordan, just a few miles from the Syrian border. This is the last video in which I'll be interviewing members of the camp, the Syrian refugee community here, and believe me, they do not want to be here. They want to be in their homeland. One of the things that I've come to learn while I have been here is the unbelievably close connection that Muslims feel with Christians, particularly in Syria. In America and in other parts of the West, we have a misconception about the Muslim world. When I look, for example, at the Irish, the Spanish, the Italians, the countries of South America, with their rich and deep Catholic tradition, it is the same feeling of tradition, feeling of religiosity that the Muslims feel. Merely because they're Arab, merely because they worship Allah, whom we call God in English, does not make them foreign, does not make them different. The brotherhood between Islam and Christianity is very, very tight, as it is with Judaism, the three great monotheistic religions. I'm joined this evening by two gentlemen, Abu Noor and Sami, and Abu Noor is going to read some prepared statements that he would like to share with America.
I am Muti al-Hariri, 47 years old. Before the revolution, I was working in a factory of ceramic as assistant of manager of production. Back to your question. First of all, we must know that there is FSA, Free Syrian Army. This army is formed by the officers and troops who left the al-Assad regime as a result of the tyranny and the massacre which are committed by the al-Assad regime against the disarmed people. And this was clear from the first administration in Dara city, where al-Assad regime faced the administration by shooting fire and killed many young men. And I had seen this in my eyes. 3 young men were killed from my village and many injured. Also, there are another groups under the name Jihadists as Al-Nusra Front. Al-Nusra is the biggest organization among the Jihadist groups, and these groups were formed by civilian Syrian people who are not troops and officers in the army, and I can't deny that there are men who have enthusiasm from Arabic countries around Syria who came to fight against the regime of al-Assad. And we must know that these groups fight side by side with the Free Syrian Army under leadership, but exactly I don't know how much they are, but I am sure they are few if we compare them by Hezbollah and Iraqi and Iranian troops who support the regime. And I am sure these groups came to Syria to fight the al-Assad regime, and not as some governments assume that they want to form Islamic rule on the base of religion. This is impossible. Our revolution has one aim, which is to build the democratic Syria after al-Assad regime. We must take into consideration that al-Assad regime has a very good propaganda around the world. So the regime created groups under the same name as al-Nusra, and these groups contains troops from Hezbollah and troops from Iraq and Iran, and the regime supports them by weapons and money. The task of these groups to commit massacres against Christian and after accused Muslims. Also, they practice rape and kidnapping. Also, these groups snatch a Christian man or woman and phone his family asking for money as a ransom. And this happened many, many times, especially in north of Syria and Aleppo, where located these groups. And now the FSA traced them step by step and captured many of them. And in the end, I would say that this group is clear and will not pass.
Thank you, Sami. Now, please also tell us, if you will, about the relationship between Muslims and Christians in Syria.
Okay. I would say that Syria is not like Afghanistan. The people of Syria is educated, and the society in Syria are not tribal. If we go back years before the revolution, be sure I don't hear any day that there was a fight between Muslims and Christians, or between Alawiyyin and Muslims. I don't hear one day that Muslims attacked the church and killed some Christians. This not happened and will not happen at all. In the future, will not happen in the future, because we are Arabic people, we are the same blood, the same suffering. We suffered too much from this regime. You can't imagine how much find the coexistence between us. In villages in the all countryside of Syria, there is a very intimate relationship between Christians and Muslims, to the extent that the Christians, old women, are still wearing the same traditional clothes as Muslims women. And also during the revolution, and from the first day, the Christians were on the side of Muslims. They support the revolution. And when I was in Syria, I remember the first day when the regime shelled my village with rockets. Many families escaped to the village. Most of their dwellers are Christian. They welcomed us and opened their houses for the families and supported them by food and money. Also, in all the Syrian cities, Christian and Muslims lead a very happy life. You must know that there are many officers and the troops who left the Al-Assad regime and joined the FSA. Why not? And we are suffering from a long time from this tyrannical regime. Why not? And we lived a long time under suppression and repression and killing. Al-Assad regime tried many times to create chaos and problems between Muslims and Christians, but he failed. The regime tried to satisfy the world that the war in Syria is dogmatic, but the regime failed because the relationship between religions are solid, and the Christian and Muslim like one body.
Thank you very much, Abu Noor. That is one of the big elements of propaganda, is these reported attacks upon Christians. It is propaganda, it is Russian-supported propaganda, and as we all know, Russia is well-versed in the art of propaganda. And finally, let's turn to Sammy, our young Johnny Depp lookalike young man, who would like to say a final word.
Well, the whole world has seen the crisis we're going through. I hope you brothers and friends would do something about it, because I know you can do something, and it's a shame you can do something and help and back off.
Okay, thank you very much, Sammy. So there'll be one more concluding video in this series, and we all pray, as they say here in the Zaatari Refugee Camp, Sha'Allah, let God grant there be victory for the free Syrian democratic revolution. Thank you.